What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of All In with Nate, mock draft edition. We're going to talk about the New York Giants and the Carolina Panthers today. They were the next two teams up on the board. But before we get into the New York Giants, let's go ahead and get a quick preview before we get good and started with these guys.
First up on the All In with Nate mock draft is the New York Giants. The New York Giants had another rough year that was either filled with injuries or just bad football play, as they finished with one of the league's worst offensive units and a 4-13 record. Also, the Giants entered 2022 with several issues. Is Daniel Jones your future? Can Saquon Barkley return to Pro Bowl form? Will the new front office and coach Brian Daboll return the G-men to their winning ways? After a quiet free agency, let's discuss how the New York Giants could use their 9 draft picks, including 2 in the top 10 and 5 in the top 81. Now, first on the All-In with Nate mock draft is the New York Giants.
And the first turnover of the...
All right, before we even get into the New York Giants, they have a tough situation. They're still in. Don't know if a lot of people have known about their situation. The Giants actually don't have a lot of cap space as we speak. The Giants entered today with $737,000 of cap space. They need $19 million to pay their draft picks alone. So do not be surprised if before the Giants draft in 3 weeks that they potentially trade James Bradberry and Saquon Barkley, if not both. So the Giants are kind of in a rough spot, and they got a lot of needs to fill. So we're going to see what the Giants is going to do with that. But it's a strong possibility that Saquon and James Bradberry do not be on that team next season. So be on the lookout for that. Don't be surprised if you see that in the next couple of weeks. But to get into the show, my number one need for the Giants was the offensive line. Clear as day, that's their number one need, because if Daniel Jones is going to be your guy of the future, they got to build that offensive line. And he was sacked 22 times in the games that he played. If you remember, Mike Glennon even got snaps, and so did Jake Fromm, former UGA quarterback. He got snaps for him at some point in the season. So the Giants didn't have a lot of stability on their offensive line. And their new GM did do a good job going ahead and getting John Feliciano and picking up Mark Glowinski from, I think one was from Indy, if I'm not mistaken. But again, that's 2 good additions for that line. You still got Andrew Thomas, who you drafted in 2020. So once again, you are in a rough spot. You got to get you an offensive lineman. You got pick 5 and 7. There's no reason you shouldn't get your offensive lineman if you're the New York Giants. We'll go to the comments real quick. Tevin says Saquon got to bounce back. He got to bounce back for whether it's the Giants or wherever he is in his career, because he's such a talent running back, and I'm a big fan of Saquon. I hope he does bounce back. Tevin also said no cap, killing the cap. This is the weird situation about the New York Giants. Currently, the Giants have 65 people on their team. They only have $20 million of dead cap, but they don't have any money. So they've done a lot of restructure. They've done a lot of moving pieces here and there, just trying to get the team in order. But still, the Giants are kind of in a rough spot. They don't have a lot of money. So, again, you got to pay attention to what the Giants are going to do. Who knows? Giants are in a rough spot. But, again, they do have the draft picks to make something happen. They just got to get money to be able to pay their guys, because that would be an ugly situation if they get to draft night in 3 weeks and don't have any money to pay anyone. So, there's going to be something to watch out for. Second need I said that the Giants need is an edge rusher. Oh, let me see. Shane, what's going on, Shane? He said, where will Barkley or Bradberry end up? That's a good question. But at this point, they're going to have to get off those 2 contracts if they're going to have anywhere paying their guys in 2022. Because, again, they don't have the money. They really don't. Cam, what's going on, buddy? He said, what do you think the Giants would want for Saquon? If I'm the Giants, I'm trying to get draft picks so I can be able to get off that contract and start looking towards my future, because the Giants are one of those weird teams in this league. They really need a lot of help up front, and they need a lot of help up front on both sides, if you're going to be honest. Going to my second need for the Giants is a edge rusher. Although Aiden Hutchinson is probably going to be gone, maybe potentially Trayvon Walker, depending on how the draft falls at that point. the Giants are going to be in great position to get them a pass rusher, whether it's Thibodeaux, whether it's Trayvon Walker, whether it's Karlaftis. One of those guys is going to be on the board at number 5 or at number 7. So the Giants need to get a guy on the opposite side of Azeez Ojulari. Ojulari had 6.5 sacks for the Giants last season. But their second best pass rusher, Lorenzo Carter, came to Atlanta in a 1-year deal. So he's already gone. On top of that, the Giants were ranked 24th in the league in sacks. They had 34 on a year. So that's a unit that's going to need a pass rush. And just look at the situation in the NFC East. You look at the Giants, you look at the Redskins, you look at the Cowboys. If you're going to be honest, you got to have a good defensive unit if you're going to win that division. When you look at Dallas, you got Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. You look at Washington, that's a stout defense. Philly's going to have a good defense again. The Giants don't scare anyone in that division. If you're going to win the division, you got to have a pass rush. That's the first and foremost thing. Go into the comments real quick. Jeremy said Barkley to the Chargers for a mid. Interesting. That would be a good fit, even though I like Austin Eckler in LA for them as well. Go to the next comment. Byron, what's going on, buddy? He said the Giants don't need anything. Yes, they do need everything. You're right. They don't need anything. They need everything. Plain and simple. Okay, moving along. Cornerback. Now, this is a tricky one because they can wait the day number 2 and actually take a corner. However, you could get Sauce Gardner at number 7. I mean, it's nothing against it. I wouldn't be mad at them if they went and took him. And then you got to look at your situation. You do not have a solid corner situation. You're going to find yourself probably moving James Bradberry before the draft, if not before the season is in, because you don't have money to pay these guys. Again, this is a real deal development that's going to happen within the next 3 to 4 weeks for the Giants. They really got to go ahead and look into possibly moving off that money. And even if they don't take a Sauce Gardner at number 7, you still got day 2 options like a Darian Kendrick. You got Roger McCreary, those guys like that you can take in the second round. But if you're the Giants, you got to put one of them top 3 to 4 picks on a corner at some point because you don't really have a stout secondary, which you possibly moving on from James Bradberry. To the comments real quick. Nick, what's going on? He said Sauce Gardner going to go 6. That would be an interesting situation for the Panthers. That'd be very interesting. Jeremy said they need to find something for Danny Dimes. It's clear he's not a franchise guy. Maybe he start moving to move on. That could also play a factor too. Now, I didn't think that they would possibly move on from Daniel Jones just yet. However, if they take a quarterback, maybe second or third round, we'll know that, hey, they don't trust Daniel Jones. Buddy, what's going on, bro? He said, my guy Woolen going to make some noise. That's not a bad option either later in the draft if they decide to take a corner late. He would be a great option for whoever he takes, whoever he goes to, excuse me. But again, corner is an interesting situation for the New York Giants. Another need that I said that they could look into is a safety. The Giants, who is their safeties? Right now, they have a Xavier McKinney and Julian Love. But to be honest with you, they look into the situation. They lost Logan Ryan. They lost Jabril Peppers. So I don't know if Kyle Hamilton falls to them at this point of the draft. If he does, maybe they take him because they have 2 picks. So could be a possibility. I just don't see them putting a pick on a safety in the first round. That could be a day 2 to day 3 thing. So we're going to be paying attention to that as well. That's, again, if they went Kyle Hamilton, it's not a bad option. Funny, Shane just said something about it. What about Kyle Hamilton because he lost Peppers? I just actually addressed that. If they do decide to take a Kyle Hamilton at this point of the draft, that's not bad for them either because, again, they really do need safety help. Nick said Danny Dimes ain't had the right support. I wouldn't move on just yet. That's my thing. I think they're going to give him another opportunity with a better group around him. Maybe build that offensive line. If he just can't produce in that with that group, then possibly you move on because even with his injury issues, that could be another thing to look into. My other thing I said that they needed was a tight end. You lost Evan Ingram to the Jaguars. Jaguars overpaid for him, by the way. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. And Kyle Rudolph is another guy who they lost, a veteran tight end who used to play for the Vikings. I'm sure a lot of you remember him. So a potential tight end wouldn't be bad for them. That's not an early day need. That's a later in the draft need for them, because tight ends is going to come a dime a dozen in this draft because it's so heavy in other positions. So maybe a guy that could have went earlier in the draft in previous seasons is going to slip. They're going to probably find a steal at tight end. My other position I said it need is a linebacker, because their defensive coordinator came from Baltimore. He runs a 3-4 defense. They got to have linebackers to succeed in that group. If you think about who their linebacking core is, Azeez is going to be more of a down front pass rusher. When you look at the rest of their group, Blake Martinez is not your guy. Their linebacking depth is awful. This is a very linebacker-loaded draft. They need to be looking into getting them a linebacker at some point in this draft. It's too much talent at linebacker for them to miss. That could be a second-round need. It could be a third-round need. Again, they got to come away with a linebacker. And my last, maybe a surprise need when you come to look into most people, is the running back position. Because as we just mentioned, Saquon Barkley could potentially be gone after this season. That could be a huge potential option for the Giants. He could be gone. And if you don't get rid of him and you bring him back this year, you still need to get a running back. Because what if Saquon has a breakout 2022 campaign? He's not coming back to New York. Let's get it out of the way. He's going to leave and go get some money somewhere else if he has a good year. So you would rather get you a solid running back that can be ready to go when he's potentially, even if he's hurt. You got to get you some running backs in New York. And just to take a glimpse over their 2021 stats, they had the second worst offense in the league, had the second worst offensive yardage in the league. They had the most giveaways in football, second worst passing yardage, third worst in touchdown passes, third worst in interceptions. As you see, they were okay with running the ball, not really good at it. But again, the Giants don't have a lot of weapons on that offense, so we got to see what these guys are going to do. Receiver would be a potential option later in the draft. It's not a high need because they just got Galladay. They put Kadarius Toney on that team last season, so I don't think it's a major need, but the Giants could look into addressing that position as well because this is a deep draft at that position. Going to the mock drafts, and just to give you guys what CBS Sports reported for those guys. CBS Ryan Wilson said that he has the Giants taking Evan Neal and Kyle Hamilton. Chris Trapasso has the Giants taking Evan Neal and Ike Ekwonu. Josh Edwards have the Giants taking Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau. Pete Prisco has him taking Ike Ekwonu and Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Stackpole has him taking Ike Ekwonu and Trayvon Walker. Walter Football has him taking Ike Ekwonu at 5 and Sauce Gardner at 7. And last but not least, USA Today has them taking Evan Neal at 5 and Derek Stingley at 7. Now, to give you guys what I have these guys taken at number 5 in the rest of their draft, let's go ahead and pull up my mock draft and tell you guys who they are going to take. 1 second. Let me see. And pull this up for you guys. While I'm checking the comments, Byron said that Joe Judge was not the problem. I don't think he was a problem either. I just think that team was bad. Let me get to the mock. Okay, here we go. I'm about to share the screen onto the main screen. So this is shout out to Pro Football Focus for the mock drafts. Okay, so at number 5, I have the Giants taking Evan Neal out of Alabama because they need to address their offensive line in every way possible. He'll be a great other addition on the long side with Andrew Thomas that was drafted a couple years ago. At 7, I have taken George Karlaftis from Purdue. They need a pass rusher. He would be an immediate upgrade. So that would be another option for him as well. Nick Green said that Kayvon would be a great upgrade at pass rush. Yes, he would. I think he would be another great option for him too. Looking into the second round, I have them taking Jalen Petrie out of Baylor. They need a corner in the event they lose James Bradbury. Third rounder, I have Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma going to the New York Giants. In the fourth round, also in the third round, I have them taking Nick Cross out of Maryland. I know Pro Football Focus did not really like that pick. However, they definitely need to look into getting a safety because they don't have any safety depth. I also have them taking Donovan West, a center out of Arizona State. This is a very underrated center that's going to be productive maybe early on in his career. In the fifth, I have them taking Grant Calcaterra out of SMU, one of the top tight ends in the class. However, again, like I said, this is such a deep class up front in other positions that tight end is going to fall by the wayside. Also, Devontae Price out of FIU, I have them taking him in the fifth round. And last but not least, I'm sure a lot of you guys probably remember this name, which is Adam Anderson out of UGA. He's going to go pro. Of course, you know, he had that legal situation before things took place with the UGA season, but he's going to be a good talent. Pro Football Focus gave me an A- for this grade. So, hey, I think they're pretty pleased with it. But that was the New York Giants that I'm going to discuss. Up next, before I go to the comments, JD, what's going on? He said, I've missed it. You talking about Carolina. I'm going to talk about them now. Dewan, what's going on, bro? He said, what about the Bears? We're going to get to them in a later show. This is about Carolina and the Giants today. So, speaking about the Carolina Panthers, let's go ahead and get a quick preview before we discuss the Carolina Panthers.
Up next on the board in the all-late mock draft is the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers kicked off the 2021 season with a great 3-0 start. But after star running back Christian McCaffrey was lost for the year, added with inconsistent quarterback play from Cam Newton, Sam Darnold, and P.J. Walker, their season ended with a 5-12 record. Although Carolina has some pieces to work with, nothing is more of a need in Carolina than a signal caller for the future. They had a quiet offseason, but made a couple of solid moves, such as signing Matthew Adonis out of Washington and Bradley Bozeman to boost their lines respectively. However, because of 2 trades of last season, giving up their second-round pick for Sam Darnold and their third-round pick for C.J. Henderson out of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Carolina only has 5 draft picks in this draft. Now, let's talk about what are the top needs for the Carolina Panthers, and let's see what my mock has them taking in the 2022 NFL Draft. Up next, the Carolina Panthers.
All right, the Panthers. Shout out to all the Panther fans that are watching the stream today. You guys knew I was going to do your show. Okay, the Panthers are in a very interesting situation. They have a clear number one need, which is quarterback, because there are pieces they can work with on both sides of the ball. However, they don't have a lot of draft capital to really do it. Of course, as I mentioned in the stream, they gave up their second-round pick in last season to get Sam Darnold, and then also their third rounder went to the Jaguars for C.J. Henderson. But to get to their needs, this is a tricky thing because I think both of their needs kind of go hand in hand. They may be 1A and 1B. Before I go to the comments, Dewan said, hold on, let me click him up. You think they're going to trade CMC? I don't think it's going to be a trade for him, but I wouldn't be shocked if they try to get more depth for him. I don't know. That could be if he stays healthy, hopefully. I like Christian McCaffrey. I really do. I really, really do. I just hope he stays healthy. Tevin said, I think the Panthers are going to go Willis. That way Atlanta won't take him. I think he's going to be off the board at Carolina as well. And I'm going to show that in my mock. Shane is a Panther fan. He said a head coach. He said a head coach. I understand. You guys do have talent, though. And Nick said we're not moving CMC. I don't think you guys are moving him either. But this is going to be my 1A and 1B situation. I'm going to go with my 1B first. Although many people will say that quarterback is the Panthers' number one need, they do need to address their offensive line. A lot of people don't know this. Carolina had one of the worst passing units in football. A lot of it had to do with quarterback play. They only accounted for 14 touchdown passes, which is second worst to only the Jaguars. Threw the most interceptions in the league and gave up 52 sacks, which was fifth most in the league last season. But they did do good this offseason. They went and got Bozeman and Christensen. They still got Taylor Morton. So, honestly, they wouldn't be wrong for taking an Evan Neal at number 6 because guess what? You now solidify both sides of your at tackle. You got some decent pieces in the middle. they really could go and be in a great situation to have a better offensive line than last season already and see, okay, do we want to rock out with Sam Darnold for another season or want to give somebody else an opportunity to be better? So it's a tricky situation. The Panthers would be wrong for going tackle at number 6. I wouldn't be mad at them. I don't know how Panther fans feel on here. Let me go to the comments real quick before I start getting into the second need. Let's see. Byron said draft a quarterback, let him sit for a year and get more running backs. That wouldn't be bad for him either. Todd, what's going on, bro? He's a big-time Panther fan. So he's going to say that the Panthers are going to take an offensive lineman at number 6. That wouldn't be a bad pick for him. Nick said, Tevin, I like Pickett more. He's been getting mocked to the Panthers a lot. DeWan said, to be honest, they're going to go offensive line. I don't see anything against it. I think that's going to be neck and neck for them. Let me go further to the comments. Darrell, what's up, bro? He said, rise up. Yes, sir. I'm going to talk about us, our next show that I do. Cam said, you think any quarterback in this draft is a franchise quarterback? A lot of y'all that know me know I've been going back and forth with this one right here. I like Malik Willis. I see the potential in Kenny Pickett. I also see potential in Desmond Ridder. But I don't really like this quarterback class as much. I think that next year's class is going to be a little bit better. Not to say that these guys can't produce in the NFL, but I'm just not as high. Like those 3 guys that I just named, I do like those guys. But I'm not a fan of a Sam Howell or Matt Corral. I don't like those guys there. I really don't. So this is going to be an interesting situation, and it could also be interesting to see how early will a quarterback go in this draft. Because if Carolina goes quarterback at 6, this could be an interesting situation for the first round. If they don't, it's going to be, okay, who's going to get a quarterback first? Because there's so much talent in other positions. So it's going to be tricky. Let's see. Byron said, Lord, yes, that offensive line is terrible. Yeah, they were bad last season. And I don't think a lot of people discussed how rough that line was that season. I actually thought that their line was worse than ours, and ours was pretty bad. Nick Green said, Kayvon is not a bad option either. Bruce Easton said, but Teddy was the issue. Yeah, he was. I like Teddy in that offense, but they just didn't have a lot at that point when he was there. Todd said, take Charles Cross at 6. Okay. Nick Green said, or Sauce Gardner. I'm not against that one either. Bruce said, give Sam their weapons. They will be great. They say, oh, man. They did say that going into this season. Oh, man. Shane said to trade back and get more picks. That's what I actually think would be a great option, too, because of them not picking again to the 4th round. So whatever you do at number 6, you don't have until the 4th round. You go to day 3, you have to address your other needs. Jay said it's going to be an interesting draft. It surely will be. I'm excited for it. I may be more excited about this draft than I was last year. JD says this is a draft class. Yes, this is a deep class, and I think a lot of folks do not realize how deep this class is. Nick said I want Matt a pass rusher going opposite of Brian Burns. Yes, that would be a great option too. He also said this is a defense draft. Yes, this is a great class for a team that need defensive help. Great draft for it. Byron says, a Panther supporter, they do have to nail their picks. They got to. You only have 5 picks. That's always tough when you don't have as many picks. So you have to hit on every single one of them. Ty said, we should have took a quarterback last year. I agree with that as well. I don't see anything wrong with that either. I was surprised they didn't take a quarterback. They went and took J.C. Horn, who I like personally coming out of South Carolina, but I felt like they didn't need to go get him at number 7, if I'm not mistaken, they were last year. Cam said, I also like trade for a second and another. Yeah, this is a draft that you want to have several picks. Now, we're on the topic of quarterback. In the most obvious need for the Panthers, they need a signal caller. They tried to get Sam Darnold last season. That was a disaster. He played 12 games, had 9 picks, 13 interceptions. Moving along. They brought back Cam Newton, former NFL MVP franchise guy. I thought he was going to have a rebound there in Carolina. He didn't win a start that he had. Threw 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And PJ Walker, former XFL star, if you all remember that guy, he was, I cannot remember the team he played for. He was really balling for him right before the pandemic shut everything down for the XFL. But again, if you're the Panthers, go ahead and take you a Malik Willis or a Kenny Pickett at number 6. I think with a better quarterback, that offense will be better. Because let's be real. I want CMC to be healthy. DJ Moore is a monster. I actually very impressed with DJ Moore. I didn't think he was going to be that good. I thought he'd be decent. Robbie Anderson had a down year, but I think with better quarterback play, he still has enough to produce. He was producing that Jets offense, so he can produce. But also, I feel that a better signal caller will help that team in a lot of ways on getting that offense back on track. That's the number one thing for them. Let's see. Go back to the comments real quick. He said you're going to see it. I think we're going to see one more blockbuster too. I know New Orleans, they're going to be on the show. We're going to talk about them a couple shows from now. But the Saints and the Eagles did do a trade, so they now have 2 first-round picks. So that Saints and Eagles show might be combined together. Shane said, bring Cam back. He'll sell tickets and tank this next year. I can understand that. And maybe go get you a Bryce Young or somebody like that. Look, bro, what's going on? He said he back. Hey, man, leave that man alone. I just knew he was going to tear it up after that, but it didn't work out. Nick said, get Kenny in that offense. I wouldn't be against Kenny Pickett falling to Carolina. He has some pieces there already. Byron said, never liked Cam as a quarterback. Traded CMC. Okay. Now, in a need that most people may not agree with this, but get you another receiver. You got solid weapons in DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, but this is a loaded receiver class. You're going to have a lot of depth that's going to be there in the 4th round if they don't trade up. You're going to have a lot of guys that's going to be in there in the 4th round. So they got Terrace Marshall last season, but again, get you another big-time receiver. Get you a young guy. Robbie Anderson is getting his late 20s. DJ Moore is your prime receiver. They just extended him. But get you another guy in that offense to help your quarterback if that's your pick at number 6. My other need for the Panthers was a linebacker. They lost Hassan Reddick to the Eagles. He was solid for him last season. I was surprised he didn't come back. They got Shaq Thompson, but when you look outside of Shaq Thompson, Damian Wilson and Corey Littleton is their other depth at linebacker. Get you some linebackers. That's one thing that Carolina has always been great at, was putting out solid linebackers up front. However, they got to get a linebacker at some point in this draft. And I think they're going to have options like Christian Harris later, Quay Walker. A couple of guys is going to be down there late. So that's going to be intriguing to see the Panthers do as well. Nick said that most definitely a middle linebacker. I do agree. And said that we haven't been right since Luke left. I was a huge Luke Kuechly fan. Yes, the Panthers is my rival, but I was a huge fan of Luke. I wish he would have played a little bit longer, but those concussions, man, those concussions. But I like Luke. I really did. Other considerations for the Panthers that I wrote down was a safety to go alongside Jeremy Chinn. That's another option they could go take because Jeremy Chinn is a dog as well. Also, another option for the Panthers could be going to get a defensive tackle. Derek Brown's a stud. Go ahead and get you another decent defensive tackle in a defensive loaded draft. That could be a 4th and a 5th round. Of course, you're not taking that early. And last but not least is a tight end. They don't really have a tight end, to be honest with you guys. So they could use a tight end in that offense, especially for your franchise quarterback. Now, moving along. Let's see. He said, "Would Andy Isabella for the Cardinals be a word?" Yeah, I think that they could use a home run hitter. That's not a bad option either. But before I go to these mock draft predictions, let me go to the Panthers stats. I'm going to go ahead and read them off to you guys. The Panthers finished with 304 points scored last season. They were 29th in the league, 30th in offensive yards, So they're pretty a low-tier offensive unit last year. A lot of it had to do with quarterback and bad offensive line. They had 3,239 passing yards, 29th in the league. Only had more touchdown passes than Jacksonville. Threw the most interceptions in the league by quarterbacks. They were 20th in rushing, and they were 13th in rushing touchdowns. Defensively, they were 21st in giving up points. They actually were really good as far as giving up yardage. They were second best in the league, fourth best passing off defense in the league. They gave up 26 touchdown passes, which was 13, and only had 9 picks. That's another thing they could use is solid play in that secondary. That's going to be possibly maybe a lead that they can get later in the free agency. Let's see. Nick said that Tommy Trimble's he's nice and not used right. And I can see that too. I do like Trimble. Cam also said that Trimble's decent as well. Okay, the mock draft has the Panthers at 6. CBS Sports, Ryan Wilson, and Pete Prisco has them taking Malik Willis. Chris Trapasso and Josh Edwards has them taking Kenny Pickett. Kyle Stackpole has them taking Kenny Pickett, and Walter Football has them taking Kenny Pickett. So they all are looking the same direction that they're going to take a quarterback at number 6. Let's see what Dontario. Hey, Dontario, what's going on, bro? He said a middle linebacker would do wonders for Carolina's defense. They need that defensive leader to galvanize them. I agree with the tight end addition as well. CMC and Moore can't be their only offensive weapons. Now, getting to the last mock draft of the stream, let me pull up the Carolina Panthers. This is what I've had. My Pro Football Focus did not like what I did, by the way, so y'all don't get me for it. I just went based off what I felt their needs were. Pulling up the Carolina Panthers, this is what I have them doing. So I have the Panthers at number 6, taking Malik Willis, of course. I think they're going to go get a quarterback and solidify that group. I think Malik Willis will get a great fit in a Carolina Panthers offense. I have them taking Justin Schaefer in the 4th round out of UGA. He's a solid guard that will fit well in Carolina immediately. I also have them taking Grant Calcaterra as well. I probably, if he's there, I think they would take him earlier because, again, this is a draft where, hey, get you two solid tight ends. Let me look at the comment real quick. He said, I don't see them taking a quarterback with the 6th pick. They should have gave Darnold another year. I can understand that. Definitely understand that. Let's go to the 5th round. I got them taking the speedster Tyquan Thornton. Hey, Pro Football Focus hated that pick, by the way. But if you're looking at getting you a game changer and he's on the board in the 5th round, why not? 6th round, I have them taking Adam Anderson, an edge out of UGA, as that goes to answer what Nick was saying earlier as far as getting a guy to go on the side of Brian Burns. He would be a great addition on the side of Brian Burns. And I have them taking CJ Verdell, the running back out of Oregon, in the 7th round. I think they would go get another running back, and he would fit great with Chuba Hubbard. I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but he would fit great with him. Nick said that Verdell will be, yes, I think Verdell will fit well in Carolina. That'd be a sleeper 7th round pick. And JD said that Malik Greatest, I know they were tough on him in Pro Football Focus. I was looking for him to be up at the top of the board, but hey, I guess not. But that's my talk on the Carolina Panthers. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Up next will be my Dirty Birds. We're going to do them on Thursday. So if you want to tune in and hear me talk about those Dirty Birds, you sure can. They're going to be in rebuild mode. We got 2 shows coming up this week. The first one is going to be, again, like I said, the Falcons on Thursday. And then we got possibly Friday or Saturday, we're going to talk about Seattle and Washington football team as well. So until the next time, I appreciate you all tuning in to All In with Nate. Make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube, Twitch. Make sure you're following me or in my friend on Facebook so I could possibly have some of you on the show when the draft comes up. Because, again, I'm going to do like last year where I'm going to have some of you come on, give your immediate pick analysis of what your team did. Hey, make sure you keep it clean, like I said last season. But, again, thank you for tuning in to the show. And I hope you guys have a good rest of the day.